You're listening to the Functional Marketing 101 podcast, episode number 2.
Welcome to the Functional Marketing 101 podcast, where it's all about you developing the mindset, belief, and online marketing and sales processes to get your coaching business to 6 figures and beyond. And now your host, functional marketing coach, award-winning author, and a total online marketing geek, Donna Joy Usher.
Hello and welcome to the second episode of the Functional Marketing 101 podcast. When I sat down to create this episode, my goal was to share a little bit about my journey with you so that you can see why I'm the perfect person to help you with your goal to grow your coaching business online. That, of course, was not how it turned out. As soon as I started creating this podcast and typing, something else welled up inside of me that I wanted to share with you first. So I want to talk to you about what it means to be an entrepreneur. Because if you're listening to this podcast, there's a very good chance that you are one. You see, I used to think I was normal, that everyone thought the way I did, and it was really only very recently that I realized I was not a part of a large majority. That rather than wanting to go on that crazy journey with me, my spouse, my family, and my friends were sitting on the sidelines stuffing popcorn into their mouths as they watched me with bemusement. When asked why I was doing what I was doing, I would give a damn fine impression of a stunned goldfish as I struggled to put into words what it was that I felt deep inside. Do entrepreneurs ever know what truly drives them on? What causes the fire in their belly, the desire that drives them, and the knowledge that they can never, ever give up? There is a saying in the network marketing world that your why should make you cry. But to date, I've never been able to fully grasp exactly what my why is. Instead, I've been propelled forwards, often at a breakneck speed, in my search for the knowledge that is going to allow me to do what I want, ironically, without being able to put what that want is into words. Sure, I know I want freedom. Sure, I know I want to live life on my own terms. Sure, I know I'd like to be able to create enough wealth that I never have to think about it and to help others do the same. But is that all that is driving me on? I don't think so. When I ask the fire inside of me why it is there, I get no answer, not a cognitive one anyway. And so I continue, driven forwards by a reason I don't understand to a destiny I'm not sure of. All I know is that the ride is exhilarating and that the destination is going to be great. I used to think this was normal to feel this way. And if you're listening to this podcast, you probably feel like that too. Russell Brunson calls us the 1%ers, but I think we are even rarer than that. I found this definition of the word entrepreneur: an individual who creates a new business bearing most of the risks and enjoying most of the rewards. It's a pretty clinical way to sum it up. And I would hazard a guess that that was not written by an entrepreneur. But I think the key word in that sentence is creates. Like those musicians and artists that breathe, eat, and sleep their craft, the true entrepreneur does the same with business. Business is our craft, money is our scoreboard. Albeit a nice benefit, but if money was just the aim that drove us on, then when we had it, we would stop. But we don't. We can't. There are many people I speak to on a day-to-day basis as a sales coach who want to be able to make money online. But when I press them further, there seems to be something missing. They call themselves an entrepreneur because they think that wanting to make money online makes them that, and yet they aren't willing to do what they need to get the job done. Their why is to make money, but they lack the incomprehensible driving force inside of them that will not let them rest. While true entrepreneurs work every spare second of the day, even if it is just thinking about things, these money-motivated people can easily come up with excuses for why they didn't get things done. Entrepreneurs are creators. We want to make an impact. We want to change the world. We want to be successful. Often we don't even know how we are going to do that. Money is our scorecard, not our aim. But most incessantly, no matter what happens or what anybody says, we just can't stop. If you are nodding your head throughout that, I want to say welcome, fellow entrepreneur. We need to band together and help and support each other, because while our friends and our families love us and accept us and our idiosyncrasies, they do not truly get who we are or why we do what we do. And that can become pretty lonely. I remember my first foray into business. My sister and I bought straw hats and made flower wreaths for them, and we sold them at a local fair. I must have been about 12 at the time. That gave me a whiff of the freedom that comes from being able to create your own freedom. The business that followed after that all taught me a powerful lesson, and I want to go through what I learned from each business now. I set up a craft business the first year out of dental school. And that craft business taught me that there has to be a good return on time and energy if something was to be sustainable. The next business I bought a dental practice, and I had that practice for quite a few years. But what that practice taught me was that I didn't want to be the one who was actually doing the income producing activity, and that I didn't want to be only making money if I was actually working. So I sold that and I moved on. And the next business I got was a bathroom renovation and retail business. And that taught me many, many things. But the big thing that it taught me was that I didn't want a business with high, unavoidable overheads like rent. Shame I didn't learn that from the dental practice, right? Because that bathroom business, we lost nearly $500,000 on that. But the combination of those lessons showed me that I needed to create something that could provide me with a residual income and not have those high overheads attached to it. By then, the online space had started to emerge. So this was back around the early 2010s. And so I turned towards that. I decided I needed an online business if I was to be able to create something that could make me money without me having to actually be hands-on at every single second, and that wouldn't have the high overheads with it. And I decided to be an author. I mean, I'd always loved reading. I'd loved writing when I was a kid, and I decided that I was smart enough to be able to write a book. So I dove in, I took courses on writing, I read every book I could get my hands on writing and editing, and it took me a few years to get there, but by 2012 I published my first book and I sat back to watch the money start to roll in, but instead all I got was crickets. I realized over that first year that for me to make money in my online business, I was going to have to learn how to marketing. That whole, if you create it, they will come, was not true. So that led me into the world of marketing, into lead magnets, landing pages and funnels, and I had never had so much fun. 8 years later, I had quite a few books under my belt. I had won awards for my books, I had landed a couple of publishing deals, and I even got one of my books into the top 100 overall on Amazon for a period of time. But publishing was changing. More and more self-published authors were flooding the market, and while at first that wasn't a problem and I was still able to make good money, once Amazon changed that algorithm from organically showing books to its paid strategy, my sales plummeted. And while I tried to get the Amazon ads to work, it's really hard to get a book that sells for $2.99 to be profitable with your marketing. Now, by then I had already been studying marketing for years. I had built my list to over 10,000. I had landing pages and funnels, and I was giving away my books for free. I had email and ManyChat sequences that went for months, taking people from book to book, giving them free chapters and taking them back to Amazon over and over again. I ran Facebook ads to my landing pages and directly to Amazon. I did free giveaways, and I paid to have my books put in front of lists of readers. But little by little, my sales dwindled until finally it wasn't even worth paying for an editor or a cover designer for my latest book. 10 years of hard work and effort, 10 books under my belt, and I decided that I was putting my hand up for the Insanity Award of the Year. It was time to change tactics. I joined a network marketing company, and then I got into affiliate marketing. I did course after course and read book after book, and I felt like I had all these pieces of a jigsaw puzzle with no overall view of the picture I was trying to build. And finally, with no due diligence at all, I threw a massive amount of money at someone to teach me how to build an online business. I was sick of trying to work it all out myself. Now, while I did not get what I was promised with that mentoring program, I got something much, much better. You see, I flew to a small mastermind in Las Vegas and I sat in a room with about 20 other people, and I got to see what the business of a 7-figure earner really looked like. And I had this light bulb moment. You see, I realized that the reason I was struggling was that up to that point, I had been taught only tactics. All of the courses I had bought from people telling me that their tactic was all I needed to have a successful online business, while in fact, they were running a whole strategy to sell me that tactic. Since then, I have sought out more and more mentors, looking at what they are doing and crafting it into a process that makes sense to me. I worked with a business partner for about 18 months and we created a digital marketing agency, but that partnership ended about 8 months ago, and since then I have gone back to the drawing board. You see, I realized that while there are a lot of tactics and tools being sold out there, a lot of the frustration when you start out trying to build your business online comes from not knowing what you should be doing. And this is the most important phase of the business. This beginning phase should not be rushed. If you take the time to get your foundations down properly, you're going to be able to grow and scale. If you don't, you are always going to be chasing your tail, wondering why it won't work for you, and you're going to be hitting a ceiling that you just can't seem to pass. If you wanted to build a 3-story house and your builder told you not to worry about the foundations, what would you think? You'd think this guy's crazy, right? When it comes to buildings, we get it. We see that the foundation is what is going to support everything else and to make sure that it does what it needs to. The walls will keep being walls because the foundation will make sure their structural integrity is supported. Yet, when it comes to our business, people want to rush this. They want to get to the fun stuff. They just build out one tactic, which works for a little while, but then they get stuck and they're not sure why. Get the foundations right, and everything else can build off that. That's just the way it is. All of the successful online gurus out there know it, even if it's not what they're teaching. And I know it because I've been mentored by quite a few of them now and had a chance to examine their businesses. My goal in this podcast is to help you get your foundations right. It is to help you build your belief in yourself. It is to help you embrace a success mindset. And it is to help you put into place the marketing processes and sales systems that you need to grow. There are many ways to skin a cat, but first you have to catch it. In the next episode, I'm going to talk about the 4 pillars of the foundational strategy that I teach my clients to put into place so they can have a business they grow as big or as small as they want. So I look forward to seeing you there in the 3rd episode of the Functional Marketing 101 podcast. Thanks for being here today. I appreciate you. Hey, if you enjoyed listening to this podcast, you have to check out my Facebook group, The Fully Booked Coach. It's a place for coaches wanting to grow their business so they can change the world and create their own dream life in the process. You can find the link to join on my podcast resources page at donnajoyasha.com/resources. I'd love to have you join me, and I look forward to seeing you there soon.